Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK radio network. Any opinions or comments made by any guest are their own, and they do not necessarily reflect any of the presenters or network's opinions.
The instruments here are going crazy.
I think what we've been suspecting all along may already be happening, Doctor.
I'm almost sure of it. Get into your choppers and head north immediately. Don't stop for a thing.
Hello, this is Michael Feeley, and you're listening to the Paranormal UK Radio Network, the UK's biggest paranormal network, and this is Paranormal Dimensions with David Young.
Hello and welcome to the show. Thank you for that introduction, Michael. That's actually Michael Feeley, who is today's guest. I thought it only right he introduced his own show. As always, I hope everyone's doing okay out there and trying to get on with life as best as possible. Well, joining me today, once again, is Juliette Gregson. Once again, thank you for all the communications that I've had from you and well wishes and everything. Nothing really to read out today, but if you would like to get in touch with me, my email address is davidyoung2qn@yahoo.co.uk. That's davidyoung, 2qn, all one word, at yahoo.co.uk. Just before I introduce Juliette, I'd really like to play this very spiritual message from a good friend of mine named Preston Williams. He's a Canadian singer-songwriter. This is actually a homage to Chief Seattle. It's his letter to US President Franklin Pierce in 1855. It's very touching and it's a very spiritual message, and I think a lot of it has a lot of meaning today. Please listen. Thank you.
The great chief in Washington sends word that he wishes to buy our land. The great chief also sends us words of friendship and goodwill. This is kind of him, since we know he has little need of our friendship in return. But we will consider your offer, for we know that if we do not sell, the white men may come with guns and take our land. How can you buy or sell the sky, the warmth of the land? The idea is strange to us. If we do not own the freshness of the air and the sparkle of the water, how can you buy them? Every part of this earth is sacred to my people. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every clearing and every humming insect is holy in the memory and experience of my people. The sap which courses through the trees carries the memories of the red man. So when the great chief in Washington sends word that he wishes to buy our land, he asks much of us. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons of the earth. Man did not weave the web of life, he is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. But we will consider your offer to go to the reservation you have for my people. We will live apart and in peace. It matters little where we spend the rest of our days. Our children have seen their fathers humbled in defeat. Our warriors have felt shame, and after defeat they turn their days in idleness and contaminate their bodies with sweet foods and strong drinks. It matters little where we spend the rest of our days. They are not many. A few more hours, a few more winters, and none of the great tribes that once lived on this earth or that now roam in small bands in the woods will be left to mourn the graves of a people once as powerful and hopeful as yours. But why should I mourn the passing of my people? Tribes are made of men, nothing more. Men come and go like the waves of the sea. Even the white man whose God walks and talks with him as friend to friend cannot be exempt from the common destiny. One thing we know which the white man may one day discover: our God is the same God. You may think now that you own him as you wish to own our land, but you cannot. He is the God of man, and his compassion is equal for the red man and the white. This earth is precious to him, and to harm the earth is to heap contempt on its creator. The whites too shall pass, perhaps sooner than all other tribes. Continue to contaminate your bed, and you will one night suffocate in your own waste. But in your perishing you will shine brightly, fired by the strength of the God who brought you to this land and for some special purpose gave you dominion over this land and over the red man. That destiny is a mystery to us, for we do not understand when the buffalo are all slaughtered, the wild horses are tamed, and the view of the ripe hills blooded by talking wires. Where is the thicket? Gone. Where is the eagle? Gone. And what is it to say goodbye to the swift pony and the hunt, the end of living and the beginning of survival? So we will consider your offer to buy the land. If we agree, it will be to secure the reservation you have promised. There perhaps we may live out our brief days as we wish. When the last red man has vanished from this earth, and his memory is only the shadow of a cloud moving across the prairie, these shores and forests will still hold the spirits of my people. For they love this earth as a newborn loves its mother's heartbeat. So, if we sell our land, love it as we've loved it. Care for it as we've cared for it. Hold in your mind the memory of the land as it is when you take it. And with all your strength, with all your mind, with all your heart, preserve it for your children and love it as God loves us all. One thing we know: our God is the same God. This earth is precious to him. Even the white man cannot be exempt from the common destiny. We may be brothers after all. We shall see.
Well, I hope, like me, you found that both touching and thought-provoking. It's an amazing recording, Preston. Thank you. Preston produced the entire recording. I do hope to have Preston on the show in the not-too-distant future, because he has had some paranormal experiences himself, and it shouldn't be too long before he does come on the show. Okay, after that short interlude, we should get on with the show, and I'll introduce Juliette Gregson. Hello, Juliette. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to the show.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me.
And what have you been up to?
This and that, researching, videoing, eating my own, usual stuff.
You've kept yourself locked away?
Yes and no. I've been here and there and everywhere. I think it's just, it's getting all too much of a muchness now, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all getting too much for all of us, I think. It's something's got to give soon, I think, but...
I think everybody's sanity, I think, is probably the phrase you're looking for.
Yeah. We don't want to talk too much about it anyway, but anyway, I assume you're looking forward to talking to tonight's guest with me, Michael Feeley. He's already done a couple of shows with me, but I thought you'd be interested because I know you're a Mason, and I think he knows a lot about Masons and Freemasons and everything like that. So I think you'll find you may have some interesting questions for him.
Well, I've seen him at Probe, at St. Anne's, so obviously, seen him speak, absolutely excellent, of course. So to me, it's just, fantastic, let's get to it.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, let's say hello to Michael then. Hello, Michael. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be back. It's been 12 months.
It has.
It's nice to be back.
It's almost a year since you were on last time, isn't it? I believe and time has. I'll say it's flown past in one way, but very slow in another.
No, it has. Last time I was on the show, it was broadcast on the 24th of February last year, and I was actually on the plane back home from America.
That's right. Yeah, that was my birthday as well.
So fast. Really?
Yeah. But we've got Juliette joining us today, Juliette Gregson. Juliette's a Mason, so I thought it would be a good idea to have her on the show to talk to you as well, because I'm sure she will have a few questions that might arise, and I'm hoping she'll learn something as well. And me, I always learn something. I know you've got a new book. Is it out yet, your new book, The Secret of Christ? The Secret Christ, isn't it?
No, it was meant to be. That I've actually got 3 on the go at the moment.
Oh, right.
So that they should have been out, but every time I think I've finished them, a lot more information comes in, and then I just have to continue writing.
Oh, I see.
So it's just sort of one of them at the moment where it's literally just going and going and going. So we'll see. I'm hoping that all 3 of them will be out this year. So certainly towards the middle of this year, hopefully.
Right. Have the lockdowns delayed your printing of your books, or has it just been the information side of it?
No, it's nothing to do with lockdown. I say it's because I get lots of information in strange ways, and
not prison.
Say again, sorry.
Prison.
Yeah. Well, yeah, strange ways, yeah.
Sorry about
it. That's okay. It was called for and it was appropriate. But no, he comes in strange ways. He comes in quantum equations. He comes in different means, mathematics in dream states and different ways. So there's lots and lots of information still coming. It's coming thick and fast. It's coming every day. So I felt it wrong to finish, because then I'm just going to have to do another one as a volume 2. So I might as well just let it just flow for a little while, and then at some point it will then be ended, and then we'll go to print. So it's just a case of lots and lots of information coming my way.
We must talk about how this information comes to you, because it fascinates me. But one little interesting and very exciting thing that I've heard today, I think, was it today or yesterday, that you're going to be doing a series on Iconic, David Icke's show.
It's a documentary. I mean, how that came about, if you remember some while ago, and you actually had a part in this, but Gareth Icke advertised that he was doing a series called The Walk.
I remember that. Yeah.
And he was going to different locations, and he was looking for people who could give an alternative viewpoint. And I think you put my name forward, and I said, well, I'll wait for him to ask, just in case he doesn't want me to be there.
I did. I'm glad I had a part in that. It's excellent.
You did, because you put my name on the actual thread on the post. So as a consequence of that and other people doing the same thing, he got in touch, and we met up at Coventry Cathedral, because he wanted to do a part of an alternative view of religions and cathedrals and what it meant, and et cetera. So as a result of doing that, and it was a very, very bad day weather-wise, it was thrown down in the rain, as you probably know, because of the Germans in World War II. There is no roof on Coventry Cathedral. They never rebuilt it. So we went to... he actually called me up on the mobile just as I was actually at the cathedral, and says, we found a beer garden, which is literally just underneath the cathedral, and he's got a tent, and they've given us permission to film. So I went and did a 30-40 minute stint on The Walk, and it was the last interview of that series. And the producer and editor of that, when he was editing it a few months later, because it was a subject that he was really fascinated in himself, he invited me to do a couple of podcasts on Iconic. As a result of that, he spoke to Jamie Icke, and I was invited to do a few more documentaries. One of them was yesterday, when I went to their studios, and I think that maybe the first week of May, I'll be doing a 12-part documentary which they want me to present.
Wow.
And as a result, and in between that, they want me to be involved in a documentary which the likes of Eric Van Daniken is also involved in, and David Icke himself. So
yeah, it's
great. It will. I'm looking forward to it. To be fair, I think I have quite a bit to contribute and a different view to contribute to the normal viewpoint.
Yeah.
And I think it just makes, to help people to really expand their resonance. And so I'm looking forward to that, and we'll see what happens from there, really.
Yeah. Well, I knew you'd be ideal. That's why your name came straight into my mind when I saw what Gareth had said. I thought Michael Feeley's ideal for this, and I'm glad it worked out. It's excellent. I mean, really, I'd love to listen to you and David Icke have a good long chat, because I think it'd be very interesting.
I think he would. I think, we fight for the same side, really, and even though some of the interpretations may be different, we still fight from the same side, and we're still trying to help. So it would be a good conversation, and it would be good to have that.
Yeah. So how's things been for you during the lockdown? Have you managed to get out at all, apart from that documentary?
Yeah. Again, as I was saying before the show, I respect people's wishes. I respect those who wish to keep a distance. I respect those who play for real. That's the matter for them. It's their choice. I do what I want to do. Like we said, it's a little bit difficult because there's lots of things that are not open to us at the moment.
Yeah.
So I just do what I need to do and do it when I need to do it, and that's pretty much it. And I don't fly in the face of anyone. I don't cause any disturbance. I'm not a typical anarchist. I just quietly resist, and I just quietly do my own thing, which is a quiet resistance.
Yeah. It's like I said, I was talking to you just before the show, because you being an ex-policeman, you know what the law is anyway, and you know that, and you know how far you can push things,
Well, of course, and a lot of what we're seeing at the moment in the news, where people have been arrested and fined, it's really a face-saving exercise of a uniform of ego. Because when two rams get together, they just lock horns. There's ways and means to approach things, and taking a person in authority at the time head on is not always the best way. So, yes, I do know the law. I do know a lot of the things that are happening are actually unlawful, and a lot of the people who are being taken to court and being fined and being arrested, it's actually unlawful arrest, and they would have quite a considerable redress if they were to push that. But again, that is a matter for them.
Yeah, of course. But of course, I'm hoping that people out there will be listening to that and taking that to heart, and remember that. No,
of course, there's statutory instruments in this country, and things come into law through a due process. Now, this due process has not been followed, so therefore it is not law. It is when they say mandate and rules, a mandate and rule is not a law. So that they are basically using tough words to try and frighten people into thinking that it is law, but it's not. And when you realise that, and when you say to these people of authority, under what act, under what section are you doing this? They can't answer that, because there isn't one.
Yeah.
And what I would advise people to do is never sign a fine, never sign a fixed penalty, because if you do, then you're liable for it. So don't sign it unless you're going to be reported, summoned to court for an offence, or whether you are arrested for an offence. You don't have to give your details. Yeah. If you are arrested for not wearing a face mask or not adhering to the social distancing, that is not an offence, and any arrest or any fine would be unlawful. So it's basically it's politicians and ministers becoming tyrants and dictators, and they're overstepping their authority.
So these policemen, they must be getting told by their own bosses that they've got to come down hard on people, and obviously they're getting that from people above them, politicians, etc. But why are they actually doing that, I wonder? Is there some sort of a cabal thing going on here, do you think, Michael? Like a worldwide thing, which I know you've spoken about it before in the past.
Well, there's certainly a worldwide thing going on. The only way you can get sort of a uniform law globally is by controlling governments, by controlling things from above government. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to coordinate, the French and the Germans and the British and the Americans all doing the same thing, all pushing the same agenda. In terms of the cabal, the same as any public service is, you sit in the parade room before your shift starts. You get briefed by the sergeants and the inspectors or any other officer that wishes to come in there and brief you. And they will turn around and say, you know, it is policy, it is objective to do this. And luckily, the powers that be haven't turned it into a performance indicator, because if they'd have turned it into a performance indicator for officers, then there would have been a lot more unjust, unlawful actions. And by that I mean, you know, when I was in the force, that they used to have a policy where each officer had to get 2 detections per month. Now, what I mean by detections is solved crimes. And if they start bringing this into a performance, then it would be a lot worse than it is. Luckily, they haven't. But certainly, these laws, these rules come from the top down. And, of course, that comes from Hevenaya, which comes from Evenaya.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say, in all my life, I've never seen so many police around everywhere. They seem to be everywhere.
I guess it depends where you are and what sort of resources that your force has. I haven't seen any greater numbers than I would normally see, really, but it depends on where you are.
Yeah, well, especially if you go to London and places like that, inner cities, and you see plenty on the internet, people, you know, you get an old man, or say old man, or people, someone of a certain age, being arrested by about 6 policemen and being really roughly handled.
None of them in face masks and none of them social distance.
Yeah, quite often.
So, you know, yeah. But again, it's unlawful, it's self-handed, it's wrong. And, you know, as I say, it only takes a few people to personally sue the officers, and then they have a criminal record, and then they can no longer serve. So a few of those will send a few shockwaves.
Right. Anyway, I guess we better get off that subject, because anyway, I hope you're going to tell us about your new book and what you've got 3 on the go. You were telling me.
That's correct. One of them is going to be called The Serious Point, and that obviously can go into masonry as well, with the blazing star and different things. But it's The Serious Point, and what I'm talking about in relation to that is the purpose of the pyramids, the energy lines, the stargates that they were creating, how they were representing the human mind and the enlightened soul, and the likes of the soul about inside the Great Pyramid, and what that is, which is really, when you look at the Greek mythology of the Styx, the river Styx, and the ferryman, cheating the ferryman, the soul about of the Great Pyramid, inside the Great Pyramid, is actually the ferryman's boat, which transports the enlightened souls. And that then brings into the Anunnaki story of Nibiru, because Nibiru as a planet is a hoax. It's not a planet. It's talking about the transition from between the 2 worlds, and it goes into a lot of this in the energy lines and how they were using X, Y, and Z coordinates, which represents the 3rd-dimensional universe, and they were opening portals with sound, keys to sound with the Great Pyramid, etc. The other one is going to be called the Secret Christ, and what happened with this one is I have a friend who was a member of the church for 35 years and subsequently left, and he set me a challenge, and he sent me 2 scriptures from each of the books of the Bible and says translate these correctly, which is what I did, and that sort of spiraled into who is this Christ figure, what does it really mean, when it goes into the religions basically being the Bible being a manual of spiritual development, which is only known to the students of the sacred science. It goes into how the Bible is really a theology that's been formulated from a literal interpretation. So in other words, it's the dead letter. Now, so the dead letter, you know, we all write in black, it is the dead letter, it's lost its force, it's lost its authority. How these books are really allegorical books that have been misconstrued as history. And just who are Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Jesus Christ, who are these characters that people, you know, believe and love and dedicate their life to. So it's going to be difficult reading for some, and it'll be enlightening for others. And the 3rd book that's on the go is, I wanted to scale it down and write a children's book for round about the age 8 and 9. So taking the ancient mysteries, taking the ancient codes, and actually bringing it into the mind of a child. And we have this character who all of a sudden hears a knock on the door. There's this book on the doorstep, but there's no one there. He takes this book upstairs because it's for him, it's addressed to him. And every time he opens this book, he gets transported to a different monument or monolith. And while he's there, he plays as a child would. He enjoys the things, but then he's taken to the one side by a host, and is then given the true meaning of these monoliths and monuments in a child's mind. And every time he comes back, he thinks, has this been a dream? Is this real? And then he actually realises that he's brought back a physical artifact. So he realises that it's actually real. So that's really the three things that are on go at the moment, which to say hopefully will be out sometime this year.
Oh, we've got a title for that one, or are you still working on that?
The title for the children's book is going to become called something like Grayson's Adventures or something like that, because the character is named Grayson, and that is basically sort of a personal code, really. So that's that, and as I say, the Serious Point and the Sacred Christ. So those are the next three things that will come out. Could you see a Harry Potter type thing developing out of that? That would be great for you, wouldn't it? Well, I mentioned Sirius B, which is Sirius Black, of course, from that show. I don't know. I mean, again, the intention for that was to try and redress the balance, because throughout a child's life, throughout their schooling, throughout their upbringing, they're taught a false history. You know, you are taught, and I remember being taught that Christopher Columbus found the Americas. He didn't, and there's evidence of that in the architecture of Rosslyn Chapel, that there were people there long before he even sailed. So history is false. It's a false representation. The whole of the system that we operate in is a false representation, and I think it's only fair that they have a choice of another alternative view. Sure, yeah. I think we spoke before, but the Knights Templar obviously were in America before Columbus was, and probably the Vikings before that. Of course, and I've actually worked out that the Templars brought the Cumberland Cave Scrolls, or some of them, from the Holy Lands back to Rosslyn Chapel, and I've located where they've hidden them. So there's a lot going on at the moment, and I was able to locate where they've hidden these scrolls, which would actually bring down the church if they were revealed. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, Juliette's been very quiet. Have you been taking all that in? Is your mind blown yet, Juliette?
Yes and no. No, it's interesting. It's just, like you say, learning. So you were talking about Rosslyn Chapel there. I remember, and I can't for the life of me think of the chaps that did the Hiram Key. Christopher Knight or something, is it? And Alan Butler. And I remember, this is going back ages ago, and they had permission to do archaeological excavations, drone work, etc., etc. And then I think a week before, suddenly, nothing. No, you can't do it. Permission revoked. And it was like, why? We all know why. You know why. I know why. But it's still very frustrating. It's very... you and I have probably read things that nobody else has seen, Michael. I know I have, with some of the books I have access to within the Masonic sort of environment. And you read some of it and you think, that doesn't add up. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and of course them two authors were Masons as well. So they were sort of in that kind of environment. And yes, I'm aware of their expedition to Rosslyn and some of the things that they uncovered, and some of it is I can relate to, and some of it, as you say, no, I can't. But I guess that's the same with any book that you would read. I did hear once that it was some sort of a portal at Rosslyn Chapel. Is that a possibility? Have you heard about that? When you look at the ancient monoliths and monuments, they are harmonic keys to open portals, so they are sound activating portal makers. When you look at the likes of Rosslyn Chapel, it has a lot to do with the bee. Now the bee has a lot to do with the Merovingian bloodlines. It has a lot to do with the royalty of Egypt. It has a lot to do with the ancient breath techniques.
It has a lot to do with the ordered, structured society of the Queen, the workers, the drone, which is really the ordered and structured society. Now, when you look at the likes of Rosslyn, which again has architecture that's telling you certain things we believe in history are not correct, but the temperatures at the gestation temperature of a beehive. Now, when you look in some of the little towers, they are beehives. When you look at the frequency that is connected to that temperature, is 432 hertz. Now, 432 hertz is what I believe to be the frequency that created the pyramids. Because when you do sound experiments at 432 hertz, it creates the tetrahedron shape. So my view of the Great Pyramid and the other pyramids is they were put there by the grand architect, as Masons would call. Now, when you look at the word architect in Hebrew, it is a tetragrammaton of the words AMVN, which of course in Egypt was Amun. So that later incorporated Amun-Ra, and Ra, as people believe, is the sun, but it's not the sun, it's not sun worship. It is the worship of the solar logos, which is the celestial force of light, which is represented and personified by the sun. So that there's an energy beyond the sun, which is the universal force of light, and that really is the Amun-Ra. So this to the Egyptians was the creator god. Now, some of the codes that I've seen and deciphered from the Great Pyramid points to me to be the universal mathematical creator that has put them there.
Right. Now then, I saw something on the television the other day, and I still can't believe it. Most archaeologists still believe that those rocks were actually pulled along on logs and on the sand and basically lifted up there by loads of slaves. Now, from what you're saying there, that don't seem to match what they're saying.
No, it wasn't Hebrew slaves, it wasn't people, it wasn't Egyptians that put them there. It was, when you look at some of the Egyptian hieroglyphs and their tapestries, and you see the likes of the high priests and the pharaohs, they are carrying a scepter, a scepter-looking object which has like a tuning fork at the bottom. Now, that was for the masters of sound. Now, they were tapping rocks and crystalline bricks and whatever, and the vibration of that was actually lifting them up. So you are talking about sound levitation. So these things are too complex for Hebrew slaves to have erected them, that they didn't. I watched a program the other day about Stonehenge, how they pulled them rocks for 150 miles from Wales, and you're thinking, no, they didn't. Because when you look at sound and even modern day science now is looking at sound levitation and is actually achieving sound levitation, we have certain pockets of energy on the Earth. Some people would call it the 19.5 degree effect, really, which is the anomaly of nature. And that goes into the Sidonian city on Mars, that goes into all the super pyramids of Earth, it goes into all of these things, which is what the ancients used to call moved by the hands of God, which is an energy belt, where really things become weightless. And there's so many mysteries, but whenever you watch a mainstream documentary, you are never ever going to get the truth, because archaeologists are not going to find the mysteries because they're not in the ground. No. So they're looking in the wrong place.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, whenever I see these documentaries, although I'm just a layman, but they just don't make sense to me that they did, how they built those pyramids. I just can't imagine it. I mean, they weigh hundreds of tons, these rocks, these slabs of stone, and they fit them so well together. And also they make these, the structures inside the pyramid, like rooms and that, and they're so finely adjusted, aren't they, to for the rocks to be put together, and not to cave in with all the rest of the weight on the top. There's an awful lot of thought process that goes into that, and it just doesn't make sense to me when they come up with these theories, and obviously they believe it and they come up with these answers as to how they did it, but it still doesn't make sense to me. And what you say, although it's sort of way out of our the way we think, what you're saying actually makes more sense, if you see what I mean.
think and thought is teote. And when you look into teote, it's all about thought. And now, before you create anything, you think about it first. So the creative mind has used imaginary quantum equations, which can only be created in the mind. You know, that a machine don't know an imaginary number, it's only in the mind. And yet, the likes of the square root -1 is an imaginary number that's used by physicists to bridge the gap between mathematics, but yet it doesn't exist. It's an imaginary number. So everything is a thought, everything is a creation from a thought. And, of course, you know, these monuments, when you go inside them and you start looking at the octaves and how each stone has a different octave, and when I was actually coming up with a formula for the speed of reality, there was this extremely long number that kept coming up, and it caught my eye because it was an extremely long number. It was the longest number in the sequence. Now, weeks later, when I was doing some research into the sounds and the octaves within the Great Pyramid, lo and behold, the same number came up, exactly the same number with the same digits in the same order. So they were sonic keys. They weren't only sonic keys. They were, as I said, the Great Pyramid represents the endocrine system of the mind, which is consciousness, and it represents the enlightened soul that is going from one world to the other, you know. And it's an important concept of certainly of Egypt. Now, when you look at Egypt, you can then go into a corrupted version of that theology, which is the Kabbalah. You can then go into a corrupted version of that, which is Christianity. Now, I've also found that the actual original Bible is the Giza Plateau. It is what the things that you find in the Bible are written within Giza in stone. So that is really, you know, the likes of Noah's Ark is the Great Pyramid. When you look at the mind, you see that where the pituitary gland and the pineal gland is situated is the king's chamber and the queen's chamber, etc., etc. So there's all these ancient mysteries, but everything really stems from a common esoteric basis. But that esoteric basis has been hidden by an exoteric system of belief.
Definitely. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Juliette? I mean, it is mind-blowing, isn't it?
I've actually switched rooms. I've gone from the bedroom, because it was quieter in there, to the library. And which you've seen pictures of this, so I appreciate Michael hasn't, because I think conversation after we'd done one of the ladies, he said, "Oh, what kind of books have you got?" So I sort of switched the camera on, and it was like, well, that's an interesting selection. So there's things on, obviously, ufology, you've got things on mystics, you've got things on masonry, obviously, and then just like a hodgepodge of things I just found interesting. So it's like you say, it's just the viewpoints, the sonic sounds, try explaining that to somebody and they kind of go, and tilt their head. I get it. I've heard that before. And it's Michael Banting, oddly enough. I don't know if that rings a bell with you, Michael.
Not by name, but there's every chance I'll probably come across some of the writings, but not necessarily remember the name.
Come on!
I've heard that name, but I don't know.
Michael Banting.
Michael Banting, of course. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you said Valentine.
Yeah. No, Michael Banting.
Banting, yeah.
Banting, potty time.
It's a square world.
Yeah. But most people don't associate him with something that's just a little bit left field.
Esoteric.
But of course, it's just... Where do you begin? Where do you start? It's like the more you try and explain it, the more people will begin to understand, but you're always going to get people who will argue black is white.
Yeah.
Even though you give them evidence, even though you give them examples. And I feel, unfortunately, at the minute, I don't know if either of you gentlemen would agree with me, it's getting a little bit toxic at the minute. I think people are just like, it's all balderdash.
Everywhere, yeah. I do know what you mean. I think what I was trying to get at is the actual word mason actually comes from stonemasons, doesn't it, Michael? And this is kind of where I was going with Juliette. It's because you're a mason, and that's kind of where it originated.
Well,
so much more.
Yeah, I was going to say that it depends on which level of Hebraic typology you wish to go into, really. I mean, You can say, yeah, Mason, Blockbuster Videos is blue because that's the colour of third degrees of Blockbuster. Of course, and America's in blocks, but there's different levels.
Right.
That's how there's many different levels. And I mean, David's been to one of my talks when I talk a lot about religions, it's an emotive subject, and a lot of people will repel. But in all honesty, the information
that was quite funny. I remember that.
Well, it was, but the information that I'm sharing was never meant for the likes of me. It was never meant for the likes of them. So they're not gonna get it, and they're not gonna get it because it's made. As the saying goes, many are called, but few are chosen, and this information is not for the dead. In other words, the uninitiated. It is for the adepts, it is for the hierophants, it is for the people who have been taught how to interpret it correctly. It is not meant for people. So yes, if you say to somebody, Freemason, they'll say, yeah, Masons, Masonry, stonemasons, but that is nowhere near the bottom of the well.
Right. How very true. I'm nodding with you here. Sorry.
Yeah, well, this is from my layman's point of view. This is what I meant. It's,
You would spend far too many hours. Like I said, Michael will be more knowledgeable than I am, like I said, because he is. But I quite like the history behind it. But it's like, if you're female and you say something like that, and you get the, huh? And then you get the usual Illuminati, and then then it just gets ridiculous. Right. It gets absolutely ridiculous.
Is there a lot of sexism in the Masons then, Juliette?
Do you think there is?
Is that the right word, sexism? I don't know. See, I don't know because I'm not a Mason. So I mean, you would see it from that point of view.
I remember going to a talk. They were reconstructing King Solomon's Temple, which is fantastic because, of course, nobody's got a picture of it. Or they have the dimensions, and I remember talking to the gentleman afterwards.
I bet Michael has.
He probably has. But
look into the number 60 and you'll get the dimensions.
So I told you.
I know. I'm buying to the greater knowledge, the greater good. But this bloke was just like incredibly dismissive because I was a woman.
Yeah.
And I was, and I thought, hold on a minute. Yes, I know something. I don't know everything. Nobody does. You're constantly learning. But I didn't like the particularly negative attitude. Then again, I could have got that from, a woman giving it. It just struck me as a bit, But then again, having been to Saudi Arabia, and people go, oh, and I said, you have a lot of history there. Oh, well, it's dangerous for women. It can be. But on the flip side, I never had any issues. Everybody was incredibly friendly. Then again, I did look like a ninja, but it's, you could debate this, you could talk about this until the cows come home. You're always going to get a different viewpoint. There's always things that will be above my station. There will be things that are above my knowledge.
Yeah.
I know that.
Well, there's a lot of things way above my knowledge, but I just wonder from your female point of view about how you found the Masons. If it was a very male-orientated thing, and it sounds like it is.
You could say that about a lot of societies. You could say there's a glass ceiling for certain crafts. Michael, did you find that within the police? Did you find there was a glass ceiling for you? Was there a glass ceiling for your female staff members that you knew?
Well, you'll find that what you would term as the dinosaurs who've been there for 40 odd years, it was a completely different culture when they joined, and they took a lot of that culture still with them. But that attitude really, when that generation retired, then obviously that philosophy went with them, and it's a lot different now to what it was 20, 30 years ago. So it's more acceptable now that women in those roles are side by side with men. Of course, you're always going to get the chauvinists. You're always going to get the people who hold onto those values, which in my opinion are completely and totally wrong. But you will still get the people who held those values. But in terms of how it was to how it is now, the divide is minimal compared to what it would have been generations ago.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few female superintendents, isn't there? I mean, Clarissa Dick is a prime example. Is she a superintendent, or is she or was that something higher than that? I'm not quite sure. Chief Constable?
Who's that, sorry?
Clarissa Dick.
Oh, no, she's commissioner, so that's higher. That's the highest ranking officer in the country of the Met. So commissioner is it's the highest. But nevertheless, as I say, it's a different culture now to what it would have than what it was. But you're still going to get the dinosaur type view of some people.
So, yeah.
Can I just sort of interject again? This is more me just asking, because you've done this for an awful lot longer than I have. I'm more of a photographer bystander, and the research I will do more obviously as I get older and get to retire. I won't be for a while yet. Michael, what do you think of, would you say that exists within what you do, ufology, the paranormal side, everything here and there? Do you think it's more male orientated? Do you think it's more female? Do you think people are getting shouted down too much?
I think again, all of those subjects really is the same subject, but it has different branches. Now, when you look at, I think when you look at ufology, I think that is more male. But when you start looking at more of a softer New Age approach, then I think that's more in line with sort of the female principle. So it attracts females more to the softer elements. But certainly in the UFO culture, I've found it's mainly predominantly men, but of course there are excellent lady researchers that have witnessed and look into it. But it depends upon which branch you sort of wish to stand on.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
Yes, so which side of the fence, or if you're sort of balancing precariously, going, help, what do I believe?
Yeah, you seem to find a lot in the esoteric world, a lot like witchcraft and things. It's usually the female orientated thing, isn't it? It's like the New Age thing.
Yeah, it is, and again, crystals and angels and fairies and that kind of thing tends to be predominantly female. But when you look at the UFO community is multiple layered as well. There are a lot of them within that community that are just interested in the tin can in the sky when it goes far beyond that.
Well, I mean, really, they're all connected. Sorry, they're all connected to what you're talking about, though, Michael, aren't they? They're all, from the ancient codes and everything. Everything branches off in different directions.
Oh, it does, and you can quite easily just with a little bit of research and piecing things together, you can connect the whole of it together. I can say for certain that the location of the Roswell crash was deliberate. Now, whether it was a crash, whether it was a landing, I don't know, but it was a deliberately chosen location. When you look at 33rd parallel, the number 33 is significant across the whole of the ancient world. You got Atlantis, you've got Jacob's ladder, you've got masonry, you've got the vertebrae of the spine, you've got Amen, which equals 33. You've got all of these different things of connection, which, as I say, gives you that common esoteric base. So,
what's that? What was that?
I don't know. I thought we were stopping for the break.
Yeah, that's that number 33, like you said on the previous show we did. Because this is number 3 now, or number 4 really, because we did a 2-parter, didn't we? But that number 33 seems to be coming in a lot lately with all these reports of what we had over the COVID period. I don't know if you've noticed that, Michael.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a black dot on white paper. It's quite apparent, but you have to. People think that the language of this world is English, American English, Chinese, Japanese. It's not. It's codes. It's symbols. And when you start to understand the language of codes and the language of symbols, then you begin to make sense of the world that we live in, and you then begin to make sense of why things happen the way they happen, and certain numbers of energy, certain geometric shapes. Geometry it links us to the sacred language of the universe. It is an education of the soul, really. The patterns and codes connect us to our own inner realm, and that is significant to higher consciousness and self-awareness. And the certain numbers, the certain symbols, every sound as a shape. You know, when you look at the beauty of crop circles, when you look at the beauty of a snowflake, that is a sound. Sound has created that, and it's left the sound has left that impression in the harvest, in the snow, whatever. But it's really a geometric space. It is a mathematical universe, and that comes from the mathematical creator. So it stands to reason, if I was to go to Japan now, you know, would I be surprised if someone spoke Japanese? So why would you be surprised if you see repetitive numbers, or because the language of the universe is mathematics? So why would you be surprised when you see a number sequences as a language?
Indeed. Well, you did write a book once before called The Secrets of the Pyramids. Now, you're doing another book about pyramids and that kind of ancient history. Have you found out a lot more since that book?
Yeah, of course. I mean, my just like anyone, you know, my understanding expands by the day of things, and my motto really is if I know more tomorrow than I know today, then I'm going the right way. And the ball is rolling across the right path. So my understanding is growing all the time. So some of it is the majority of it is new, but some of it is also going back over our ground and bringing that up to scratch. So you know, you can only go as far as you can at the time, but then as more and more information comes in, that then expands your understanding, which then expands your writing and expands sort of the learning of people that want to have a look and have a look at what you're saying.
I mean, that book alone is amazing. It actually blew my mind, and I'd really advise anyone out there to get it. Secrets of the Pyramids by Michael. It's actually quite a good standpoint, I think, to get that and then sort of go on from there, isn't it? That's in my mind, you know, because I think it would grow. You would grow with Michael along with that, because your theories and your research grows on from that, doesn't it?
Well, it does, and again, it's just like anybody else, you know. If you're looking into things, constantly looking into things, you know, a lot of people have different pastimes. They go and play snooker, darts, football. They do. But for me, you know, I want to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for me, I want to sit down. Sometimes I've read a complete science paper, which has taken me about 4 or 5 hours just to find 2 words. And that is the kind of dedication that, if you want to know, you will put in.
Yeah.
Because I'm at the centre of the information that I get from all different angles, then I can quickly make a connection when something comes in that connects to something else. And if you imagine, you know, the old detective movies where they're sitting there with the see-through screen, and they're doing all the mosaics, and that's how my mind is on a daily basis.
Wow.
Yeah, I could imagine.
I'm just sat applauding here, just going, fantastic. I was having a conversation with another sort of colleague earlier on, and I said, do you ever... I said, is it me or is it just the general mood at the minute? He says, what's up? And I said, I'm just feeling meh. Why should I bother? Nobody reads anything I write. Nobody looks... You know, have you ever had a day where you just think... Probably not with you, Michael, but...
Actually, on the contrary, there's been many occasions where I've thought exactly that. What is the point? What is the point?
It's not just me.
No, it's certainly not just you. And there's been several occasions where it was a case of, forget this, I'm not doing it anymore. And it was a genuine statement. But I always find that when there's a dip, when I come out of that dip into the positive, the positive is far greater than it was before the dip. So it sort of keeps you going. But no, you're not alone. It's happened to me many times.
And like you said before, Michael, you said you get a push from the other side as well, don't you?
I get pushes from lots of places. Some of it would seemingly be the other side, whatever the other side is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's hard to say what the other side is, but from the other side of I don't know, the other esoteric world, if you like.
I think. Yeah, I think what annoys me, you've got fantastic research and people like yourself who put heart and soul into it. People like me, I do that with my research, with my heritage, my photography, you know, things like this. I love doing this with David. And then I see these and I'm going to swear, but not a proper swear, with these bloody YouTube videos. Look at this, we've got a ghost, 5 minutes of clickbait. Yeah. And it really beeps me off, because I'm like, why are you in it for the money and the glory? And it just annoys me.
Well, it's the same with UFOs and things as well, isn't it? You know, we get that all the time with UFOs as well.
Yeah, it frustrates me, because I'm just like, I just want to go and hit them with a hammer.
It certainly does, and again, I share that frustration. You do get the genuine ones. You get the genuine ones with the right motives and the right intentions, and they're often sort of like diluted out of anything by the ungenuine ones. Now, I've seen lots of ghosts, I've seen lots of UFOs, I've seen dimensional doorways, I've stood next to people not from here. I say people in a loose sense. So that for me was how it started, and now it's more the science behind what happened to me, and learning what happened to me then helps others to understand what's happening to them.
Thank you for that. You've actually made my evening in more than one ways. So you've kind of got, yes, Juliette, just continue and just shut up.
Now, a couple of Michael's earlier books, the ones he wrote before Secrets to the Pyramids, sort of explain all your early life, don't they, Michael, with your experiences with your wife and everything. With you rescued a young girl once. I think that was in your first book, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, again, you know, when I joined the police force, I always say, and I've said several times, that was my first marriage. Now, nobody, as far as I'm aware, would actually go into a marriage with the intention of getting divorced, but things sometimes happen. And I was 17 years into a 30-year career. You know, in 7 years from now, I would have been retired, and it would have been feet up, whatever. But sometimes there's other forces at play that have other intentions. And round about 2009, a little before 2007, 2008, there was a lot of things happening to me that was mind scrambling. And it really, I mean, when I say a day didn't go by without experiencing something, then that is not by any means a lie. There was no day that went by that I didn't experience something. And when you get introduced to this, and it was really a harsh introduction into an alternative world. But after I'd come through that, which took about 6 or 7 months of not being able to sleep with the light off because it was so traumatic, things began to even out and balance. But it caused me to leave my career and get divorced from that career. Now, you know, you don't take, at the time that we were going into a global recession and people were actually losing their jobs, and they were losing their house, and they were losing everything that they owned because they'd lost their jobs, I actually walked out of a secure career. Now that, you know, for anybody who's not done that takes some guts.
No, I've done that.
You know, it takes a lot, especially when you leave with nothing to go to, no plans, no ideas.
That's a sign on. That wasn't fun.
But again, that was the push from the kind of the other side, wasn't it, Michael, that you had?
There's certainly a lot. Again, looking back, because my understanding of what happened 10, 12 years ago is far greater now than when it was happening. And looking back on it now, there's quite evidently a timed, meant to, unavoidable was going to happen regardless. And it did. And it happened to such an extent that there really was no going back from that. And again, all the moments, Juliette, that I sit here and think, what's the point? I'm not doing this anymore. You know, you put your heart and soul into it, and someone comes across and tells you, you know, says all kinds of nasty things about you, and you go to hell, and you think, what is the point? But for some, you do, but for some reason, the force that is taking me through the waves is greater than the waves, and that's what's happened. Yeah,
I mean, you know, you must know yourself that for every one person that might be saying you're wasting your time or you're talking rubbish, there's another 10 or 20 people out there that are saying, fantastic work, Michael, carry on doing what you're doing.
Well, what I learnt the hard way is when I first started out in this, it was a case of, you know, I want to save the world, but then you soon realise that you're not going to. So save your energy, save your focus on the people that wish to listen.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to get burnt out. You're not going to get anywhere. And you're just going to bang your head against the wall. You're just going to be basically give up through frustration. So don't.
I'm stubborn. So much as I've kind of gone grr, made noises like a flump tonight, I will continue. And so it just echoes what you've just said. It's just do it for me. If other people like it, fantastic. If other people learn, fantastic. We're only here for a short period of time.
Well, as Michael will know, I mean, he's being involved with Iconic now. Now, David Icke will tell you that he was basically taken for a fool and made look foolish by the media, and everyone thought he was everyone was saying he was a nutcase. Now they can't shut him up. They're trying to shut him up now. You know, and his audiences are vast all over the world. So, he's obviously done something right, hasn't he?
Well, he has. He's pretty much one of the best at what he does, and for someone who's not had that kind of criticism, for someone who's not had that kind of focus on them, to do what he did takes a very, very strong soul. Absolutely. Indeed to do what he's done, and to continue to do that. Anybody, I've said before, that even something as simple as walking through Asda when you are the only one without a mask, do not underestimate the bravery that takes. Yeah, it does.
And you do feel a certain power from it, I must admit, because I've experienced it myself. Not to say that you're better than anyone else, it's just that it's a very difficult feeling to describe, really, isn't it? It's
well, it is, and a lot of the things that you experience are just parrot phrases.
Yeah.
People calling you conspiracy theorists. They don't even understand what conspiracy means or where it came from. When you actually look at the origin of the word conspiracy, it comes from the Latin word of conspirare, which basically means to breathe together. So what it's really telling you is to breathe together as oneness. Now, breath is the original Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit, because spiritus means breath. They don't even understand. They don't understand where it was first used in the Journal of Mental Science in 1817. It was made into a negative connotation by the CIA at the time of the Kennedy assassination. If they are saying these words, at least understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But most people don't, unfortunately, and they don't do the research.
Then who is the fool? Who is the fool? It's not David Icke sitting on Waugan, is it? It's them.
No.
Because they haven't got a clue what they're talking about, really.
To me, I'd rather research and spend 5 minutes talking about something I know about than spending an hour talking absolute bilge. Because to me, it just makes you look silly down the line, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it does. It does, and again, it's refreshing to hear somebody that takes that stance, because it is a minority, and a lot of people just repeat what they've heard.
Oh no, I have an opinion. Help!
Yeah.
I know I'm joking about it, but it's
yeah. Well,
there's not many outspoken people who would, like David, like you, that would come on things like this and go, actually, I do have an opinion. You may not like it, however, I'm going to explain my rationale.
Most people's opinion is simply just a popular view. It is not really an opinion. It's just a view of everybody else. But I share the same opinion. Now, if you do the research into what's happening, if you do the research into why it's happening and where it's taking us, then again you then see it for what it is.
Yeah.
And that is the same. That is the same for anything.
Yeah. I mean, majority.
Definitely,
as I say, the majority of people just listen to what they get off the news and believe that entirely without going away and looking at doing their own research to find out what's really going on. If they did a lot more of that, then I think a lot of people would be very shocked as to what's going on.
A lot of them don't want the shock. A lot of them because
true as well, yeah.
You go back to the movie The Matrix about people being unplugged. If you unplug them, they have to take responsibility for themselves, and they don't want to do that. The control system is their walking frame, and if you remove that control system, they walk unaided, and they don't want to face that perspective. So it's easy for them to have the security of ignorance.
And that doesn't mean that people are ignorant. It just means that they're just living under that that fallacy, aren't they? Really? I mean,
some people are happy not to know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They're just you can put it under an ignorance, but they're not really ignorant people. They're just they just want an easy life, really. They don't really care if someone's telling them what to do.
I just want to know more.
Yeah,
that's all I want. I want to learn.
So, I mean,
that's simple.
I think you've got to be a certain type of person. I mean, I don't like taking orders. I've never liked taking orders. And I think you've got to be that kind of person that will actually stand up for yourself and think, well, why are you giving me these orders? What is the reason for them? And what a reason, if it's an order that I should be, that's going to affect me, then I want to know why it's, I want to know why you're telling me, sort of thing. So, that's just me.
But that's how I was at the end of my career. I was questioning everything and refusing to do things, and that is really why that again any nail that stands up, somebody wants to knock you back in, and that's what happens. I was refusing to do things. I was saying no, I'm not doing that, and of course it doesn't make you any friends, but nevertheless they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to deal with that. But I nevertheless refused. And that's really towards the end of the career anyway.
Yeah. And at this point, you've got your own self-respect for that reason, haven't you? Because you did that.
Well, you have, and again, when anyone leaves, you have the exit interview, and it was with the chief superintendent, and I think my final parting words were, "You tell me what to do, but I decide whether or not I'm going to do that." Yeah. Nice to know you. Bye. Yeah. And that really was my parting words.
Yeah. As I sit there with a mouth open.
Well, they don't expect that. They don't expect people to leave a job like that, because it's not what people do. No. You go for you retire, you don't leave. So it was really an unusual thing. Yeah.
Because I suppose it's like bye to your pension and everything, wasn't it, at that time?
Well. It's not
bye.
Yeah. You freeze it. Freeze it, but obviously the contributions stop. Really, so it doesn't get any more. It stops where it was.
I get you. Yeah.
So when at the end of the 30 year, they put some in. You can't, people seem to think that the pensions are just given to you. Not that they're. At the moment, it's 15% a month that comes out of your salary to pay for the pension. So it's not something that's given to you.
No. It's not a benefit. I know. I'm in the same boat myself. I paid into pensions. So, it's not like a benefit. They like to tell you it's a benefit.
Yeah, of course. And then they keep increasing, the retirement age, etc. But now, so basically, it really was goodbye to that, and I couldn't really be there anymore because I was not the person I was, and I think it was becoming more and more evident that I wasn't that person anymore.
Yeah.
I have ultimate respect. Mine's slightly different. I worked in education, I worked in a school, I was being bullied, so I handed my notice in, and it was a well-paid job, well-paid pension, and everybody said I was mad, and I said I'd rather have my self-respect and sign on. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
It's horrid.
Some people are just different, and again that becomes evident in time.
Yeah. Anyway, as Michael was saying, I actually was at one of his talks a little while before all the lockdown started, wasn't it, Michael? Wasn't that long ago, but it was just over a year. And I was hoping to have gone to some more this year, and sort of some cathedral tours that you do, and I'm hoping we can do some of them very soon.
Yeah, so Mike, it was the 28th of January 2020. It was a month before I went to San Francisco, and when I came back, literally within days of coming back, they were talking about lockdowns.
Yeah, it all went to pieces, didn't it?
And different things. It all went to pieces. So everything sort of stopped in terms of Probe. Probe was cancelled. I was due to do that for 2 days, and which was a shame because I was looking forward to that. And
I mean, you had Lapis cancelled. Probe has ended now. Lapis had sort of gone, well, are we going to be able to do one in 2021? And a lot of convention organisers, I miss going, I miss meeting everybody.
Yeah, I mean, we still don't know what's going on this year, do we? But I'm just hoping that things are going to start easing off and we can start doing things again. It's not the fact that we don't want to do it. I might go out and do it tomorrow, but it's the fact that if places are closed, then we can't do it. So.
Yeah.
Well, no, and again, you know, I'd be more than happy to go and do a live talk, but there's no venues to do that at the moment because they won't risk it. So it's really sort of internet based at the moment, but which again is fine. It was internet based anyway, but it's nice to be there physically to do something as well.
Yeah, sure. But you'll have to let me know, Michael, if anything's going on that you think I might be able to get to. I'd like to come to anything that you're going to be doing, but the cathedral tours especially. Is that something that really fascinates me?
No, absolutely. And as soon as everything's back, then I'll be looking to do that. So I'll let you know. But obviously we'll see what happens throughout the year.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're going to hear much before sort of. I think maybe by the time we get to about May, hopefully we can start thinking about we might be doing something for the summer. But
well, we'll see. We'll see. You know, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Anyway, good luck with your books, Michael. And you got anything more, Juliette, you would like to talk to Michael about?
I'm probably going to think of loads of things after we've all...
But I know you're probably like me, your mind just gets blown with Michael's knowledge, don't you?
I genuinely think I'll end up dropping a message to you, Michael, because obviously I've got you on Facebook. I may not I'm one of these, I sort of more observe at the minute and soak everything in. And sometimes I comment, not very often, but if I think of something, I'll go, hello, can I ask a question? And hopefully you'll say, yes, of course, Juliette. That would be lovely.
No, anytime, whenever I see a question, I'll always, you know, try to answer it. Sometimes Facebook can play a few little games on me, and I don't always see things that are there.
Yeah, we all get that. Yeah.
Of course. So if I see it, then I will answer it.
I like the little puzzles you put out occasionally, asking what is this and what is that, and some of the replies you get.
I do like to put them out simply because I think it just gets people thinking instead of just giving the answers. You know, I think it helps just, well, I think it does. They may well be getting sick of it, but I like to just get people just to think and go away and look.
Yeah, I mean, the real conundrums, I have to look at and I think, what the hell is that? You know?
Which is what you say on the post itself, isn't it?
Physical.
Anyway, it's been great. Thank you very much for coming back on again, Michael. And as I say, I'm hoping we get to see you soon. If not, I'll be seeing you online. Certainly on Iconic, anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to doing that. You know, it's nice of them to invite me to.
That's going to be fantastic. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I think an epic will be you and David Icke talking together. That would be fantastic. If it can ever happen. If you have to try and fix that up.
Well, again, I think sometimes you just get feelings that you're just going to bump into certain people, and I do think that will happen at some point.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm walking around the studio that's run by his sons, you know, there's every chance that at one point he's going to be there.
Mr. Wright will be there, yeah.
We'll see.
I mean, Gareth,
I think we'll do that.
I mean, Gareth and Jamie are great anyway.
Yeah, they are. They are, in all fairness. It's a nice setup they got there.
Yeah.
It's impressive, and it's getting better, and they're introducing more things to it.
Yeah. I get the feeling that Gareth's going to be gearing up to replace David one day.
Yes. Funny enough, my wife.
Not too soon, we hope, but you know.
No, of course not. But you know, at some point he's going to not want to do what he's doing now, I guess.
Yeah.
Or he won't be able to do as much as he did. So there'll be somebody there, and I do think that the prime candidate for that is Gareth.
Yeah, with a little bit of backing from his dad. I do agree with you. And also, you're going to be meeting are you going to be meeting him, Eric Von Daniken, as well?
Well, he's involved in the same documentary. I don't know if the plan is to have him come over. If he's coming over, then yes, I will meet him. But we're certainly going to be on the same documentary together. So it's nice to be in the same space.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sure we would have a fantastic conversation because we do have the same interests.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll be lucky enough to meet Eric a few times, and he's quite an amazing, quite a funny man, actually.
Well, he looks like it, and I'm sure we get on very well if it ever happens.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one evening I was in a bar actually in the hotel with Nick Pope and Eric Von Daniken sitting there for a drink. It's quite surreal.
Well, yeah.
Pictures. Those pictures.
I think sometimes these encounters.
Oh, Mike Barrow was there as well. That's right.
So some of these encounters are just sort of lifetime memories, aren't they?
Yeah.
Really, that you don't expect and they just happen.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it. It was fantastic. It was one of those little memories that will stick with you forever, But,
so the photo shot, everything else. And,
yeah, that's right. Anyway, Mike, I'll let you get on with your evening, and thank you ever so much for coming on. And Juliette, thanks for joining us. It's been another fantastic talk. I really hope your books go well, and I shall be looking forward to them coming out later in the year, and hopefully we'll get to see you.
Yeah, I'd just like to echo what David said. Thank you very much indeed, Michael. Hope to chat in the near future and see you, obviously, in real time. Brilliant. Thank you again.
No, thank you both. It's always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Right, and good luck. Obviously, I'll put out your website on the Paranormal Dimensions page again, and I'll mention your books, and hopefully you'll get more people interested in your books after hearing this show. All I can say is wish you good luck, Michael, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much, and likewise.
Yeah. Take care of yourself, and good night, Juliette, and good night, Michael. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Right.
Good night.
Good night. Right, you've been listening to Paranormal Dimensions. I'm David Young. Hope you enjoyed that on the Paranormal UK Radio Network, and brilliant night. Thank you. Good night. I'm just going to play out with another very short piece from Preston Williams. Paranormal Dimensions is a regular feature on Mondays on the Paranormal UK Radio Network.
Hello there, this is Michael Feeley, author in the UK. Today this video is just about my new book, Alchemy of the Gods, which is now just being released. And I'm pleased to announce that the foreword is written by international researcher and the founder of CERN, Mary Rodwell. So I'm really pleased to have Mary on board with the book. There's some real revelations in this book. It deals with the elongated skulls, Egypt, religions, Easter Island, Atlantis, all of these mystical things. And I'm just going to read the synopsis to you. In this book, trained police investigator Michael Feeley reveals to you that humans are not from Earth, but from another constellation entirely. He has also uncovered that the pyramids and other mysterious monoliths around the world carry an encrypted message, and that there are higher communications held within the likes of the Nazca lines, crop circles, hieroglyphic language, and the Moai heads of Easter Island. Michael makes astonishing revelations about the mysteries of the elongated skulls of Stonehenge, Egypt, Russia, Peru, and Malta, with a new interpretation of their meaning and formation, plus much more. Just who were these ancient gods, worshipped, idolised, and documented by our ancient ancestors? Are they extraterrestrial beings from other far-off worlds, or are they simply the elder race of man, paying their root races a return visit, giving them the tools for inner transformation? Alchemy of the Gods is a book sent from the stars, and it's receiving some good accolades. Such things as your level of research is astonishing. Thanks to people like you, we're all moving forward. Absolutely mind-blowing. Thank you so much for such amazing puzzle solving. Your knowledge and the way you deliver it is second to none. And Michael is a fantastic encyclopedia of knowledge. Love his work. And there are pages of such accolades. So the book is now available from my website, www.michael-feeley.com. So why not treat yourself an early Christmas present and top yourself up with some real true revelations and some true esoteric knowledge. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll speak again very, very soon.